Okay, what we learned so far in Parak Chi is talking about the Midas HaMalchus, which is the final, Midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the final goal of the whole creation. The purpose of creation is Malchus. You can't put Malchus on the same level as Netzach Hod Yesod or Chesed Gvura Tiferes, because all of those are lenses of how the Or Pashut comes into the Bria. But when you talk about Malchus, you're talking about the Bria Gufa. This is the Kli Kibul. So you can't, it's Midah Veina Midah, that's a lotion of the Zohar. Midah Veina Midah. It's not really a Midah of Malchus, because it's the Malchus is the Kli, which holds everything, and that's the pshat in the Zohar, which says that Malchus leis le megar me klum. It's not. It doesn't have anything. It's like electricity goes into a filament. The filament is just a place which is makabel the electricity, the current. So the leis le megar me klum. In fact, the less that's there, the better it is, because the less that's there. I mentioned from Rav Haber, such a powerful idea. This one of the ideas that you learn as a kid, and it sticks in your mind and actually is life altering. That the idea of Chaim Volozhin, that if anybody that ruchnius, that a person is like a kli to be makabel, and if anybody would have the anivus of Moshe Rabbeinu, they could have the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's meaning. And he explains, this is his explanation on mine, that the thinner the kli, the more mayim you could put into the kli. So Moshe Rabbeinu, since he was the Anav Mikol Adam, so he was able to have more Torah than more Nevuah than anybody else. But that idea is the idea of Malchus. Malchus is leis le migar me klum. Even though Reb Chaim says leis le migar me means of the Shechina. But the answer to that question is, right? That was your question, right? The answer to the question is that it's supposed to be leis le megar me klum. Meaning the idea is that the kli of this world, our lives, our homes, our communities, is leis le megar me klum, that it's all open for our Kodesh Baruch Hu's Malchus. However, since we have free choice, we can stick our own stuff in there. Just like to use my mashal, which is on a low level because it's a level I can understand, just like a driver is using the President of the United States' car to do his errands. He can. He can. But it's kind of weird. So it's a lack of not just loyalty, but it's a lack of complete hispatalos to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So it's supposed to be leis le megar me klum. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu, if he would have had a little bit of gaiva like we have, that would have been a thicker kli. And it's supposed to be completely void, completely empty for being Makabel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore we learned that when a person who's skula nifla l'tefillah, when a person davens, practical thing, when a person davens, if they daven for themselves, so, mi yamid l'fanecha badin, who knows, you could be zocha, you can't be zocha, what are you davening for yourself? But if you daven with complete hisbatlos and a complete hispashtus, what does that mean? That you're not davening for anything less. You could be davening for more, but I'm davening for it for Kvod Hashem. So if I'm saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono Shel Olam, how am I supposed to give tzedakah and support Torah if you don't give me parnasa? So I'm saying like let's say I'm a day trader. Like how can I make my boss money if you don't give me $100,000 at the beginning of the day to trade? Like I need to be able to trade. Otherwise, what am I supposed to do? I'm sitting Yoshe Batel. If I'm misbayish to ask for the cash to trade with, so I was shaita, because that's exactly what my boss wants me to do. He wants me to make money for him. So it takes money to make money. So it's impossible to do it. So this is a derech of tefillah, which is, I don't even want to say it's like the derech of tzadikim. It's a derech that works. We learned last night that in the Kavel Hashem Chazak V'Ametz Libecha, that the pshat is, the Gemara says if you daven and you're not answered, mashma that you're supposed to be answered. You're supposed to be answered. So if you're not answered, there's a kushya. Like why aren't I answered? The answer is Chazak v'yamitzibecha v'kabel Hashem, daven again and again and again. Right? This is contrary to how many people think it's tefillah, because we rationalize that we're not answered, that we're not even supposed to be answered with our tefillah. It's not true. Kavel, it's clear in the Gemara. Kavel Hashem daven. If you're not answered, you have a shayla. Why wasn't I answered? The answer is Chazak v'yamitzibecha v'kavel Hashem. What's the Chazak v'yamitzibecha? Chazak v'yamitzibecha is strengthen your kli. In other words, you obviously have too much of yourself involved in your kli, and that's perhaps why you're not being answered. You're asking to daven, my husband, you're going to give me parnasa, I deserve parnasa, I do so many nice things, I'm such a good person, why aren't you giving me parnasa? So it's a derech of right. I don't think like Kavel Hashem. It's like it's not nudniking Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Like, asking again. Like, what do you? It's not that big and nudnik. The pshat is that we're doing for Him. The more you're doing for Him, the more you're supposed to ask. Why aren't you here? Why aren't you asking me? Why aren't you reporting to me? Somebody the shul told me that they had the schus of staying at a very chashuv Rosh Yeshiva's house for Shabbos. His Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos in America. So the reason he went there for Shabbos is he wanted to discuss something with him, a life decision he wanted to discuss with him, and he was invited for Shabbos. So he says to him Friday night, okay, so I want to discuss something with you. So he said maybe after the meal. So after the meal, so this Rosh Yeshiva fell asleep. He says, okay, we'll talk in the morning. So in the morning he says, I'll have a seder, like I can't learn. Okay, we'll talk after lunch. After lunch, I have to prepare my share for the afternoon. We'll talk at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, people were coming. So came Motzei Shabbos, like there wasn't a minute to talk with him. So finally at Motzei Shabbos, he says, like, for 5 years you're teaching me I should make a move without talking to you, but now you won't talk to me. What's the what am I supposed to do about this? This is a problem. Like, it's a dilemma. So putting the Rosh Yeshiva aside with Hakadosh Baruch Hu, like, this is what He's telling us to do. It's not something different than what He's telling us to do. He's telling us to do be Avdei Hashem. Elomai, we have the Bechir Chavshis to be Avdei Achashverosh. We can still be into ourselves, but we can, and when we're into ourselves, and now it's precarious, our hatzlacha and tefillah and anything else in this world. Okay, so that's what we learned.
Can you learn from Mariah that Hashem had to tell Moshe to stop, because he would have even acceded to his request to answer that, like enough if you keep.
He would have Moshe Rabbeinu, if he would have davened 516 tefillahs instead of 515. He was already batal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he would have been such a hisbatlus that it's completely for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Complete Malchus. It would have been complete Malchus. Complete Malchus, you can go into Eretz Yisrael. Meaning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him not to daven because there's a bigger plan. It doesn't mean that everything that we're going to daven for is within the plan. Sometimes we can mess things up by davening too much. But ostensibly, it's probably good for us to. Who knows what's good for us? But we're allowed to daven.
Can we really mess things up like that?
Look, how many people daven for Ashiras. You got to watch what you pray for. Okay, so then you can't.
Isn't there a point where Hakadosh Baruch Hu will say, I know what's better for the person, so I'm not going to answer him? I mean, we discussed this last night.
I think if Moshe Rabbeinu would have davened 516 tefillahs, he would have gone into Eretz Yisrael. Because Baruch Hu begged him not to daven anymore.
Even though it would have been bad.
Even though it would have been bad. Because that would have been, if he would have gone to Eretz Yisrael, that would have been the Geula. So what's wrong with the Geula? We weren't ready for the Geula.
So is it possible that we're not on Moshe Rabbeinu's level, obviously, but maybe on some level we see elements that prevent us from davening. So
we need to get a nevuah saying, I'll taste of daver, if that's where you're holding. Let's go a little further. The sugya of what we should daven for, what we shouldn't daven for is a shver sugya. But is there any question that we should be matzliach in limud Torah, let's say? Is there any question that shalom bayis is a good thing? Is there any question that our children should stay b'derech haTorah b'Hashem? So how many times should we daven for that? Once, twice, and then give up? Davening. Is there yes, you have to watch what you're davening for, because maybe a person davening could be a big kavir, and like it could be the worst thing that could happen to you. It could be, but so some things, like if you have seichel, you leave it alone, but when Ben Gurion came to the Chazon Ish, an unknown story I will tell you. When Ben Gurion came to the Chazon Ish, he asked him to daven that there should be peace with the Arabs. So the Chazon Ish told him, "You want me to daven there should be intermarriage with the Arabs?" I mean, I'm not, I don't know. Missiles are bad, and intermarriage may be worse. I don't know. I don't. In other words, like we're at peace sort of with the goyim in America. It was very, very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very expensive. It's you talk about the majority of Jews in America marrying the girl next door. So it's not. It's not so, but it's nice. I mean, I'm not. I don't mean to marry the girl next door. But I mean, it's nice to be at peace. I mean, it's nice not to have. It would be nice. I would love to. Take a ride through, Syria or Jordan with my window open and look at all the old places and see Pumbedisa and Nardoi and Bavel. I would love to go to Iran.
Well, on less.
If you're supposed to be Patat Hashem, maybe you shouldn't daven for anything, and you should say whatever Hashem you want from me.
But the davening is an exercise in Malchus. If you don't daven, then you're never going to get there.
No, he's not saying. He's not saying that.
Daven to Hashem, but
He's saying, "Daven, give me a muna." So whatever you want.
whatever
Mishnah Berurah
is
says.
to me.
Mishnah Berurah says that you should daven for whatever you want, and you should add in your Shema Koleinu a t'nai, saying that if it's good for me, give this to me. Now, what do you need a t'nai for? I mean, if it's not good for you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to give it to you. Mashma not. He will give it. That's it. I'm a Raya from the Mishnah Berurah that if you don't say, why do you have to say it tonight? Obviously, it's implicit. Like, obviously, you're not going to do something that's not good. Yeah, that's not true. That's not true. Right? B'derech she'adam roitz aleilah.
Chasadim tov. Chasadim lo tov.
Chasadim tov.
Maybe is it a wrong?
V'chulu, but the Mishnah Berurah is before. Daven on it tonight.
Is it a wrong touch to say there needs to be a limit on how much we daven for bakashas for ourselves, as opposed to no limit on how much we daven for kirva and yira and things to HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
It's davening for ruchnius.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. What can be bad?
What
What can be bad? Give me a munah, give me your shemayim, give me a... Don't we daven? I mean, like we say, Birchas HaChodesh, a whole tzibur together, right? Chaim shtehei banu avos Torah, your shemayim. We're not saying Allah tonight, like, because it's all ruchnius. L'chayr, it's mostly ruchnius.
I'm saying this davening, this business of davening and vekas and hishoidedus or whatever you want to call it. There is no limit when it comes
Yeah, but I'll tell you what the problem with this, Darren, was bothering me about it. It's like, such a fine line between Gashmius and ruchnius. And especially if you're into the Midas HaMalchus, but Shalom Bayis, like Gashmius or ruchnius? Why are you looking at me like
Everything should be turned to
it's l'chayra. I mean, money, to me, money is davening for ruchnius. I'm just, personally, I don't have any thing with money, I don't know, like, I don't like money, I don't need money. But you want to be able to do good things with your life. You want to support your family. You want to, you want to be able to do things, to help the community. You want to do things, so you need money.
Build a shul.
Yeah, build a shul. Yeah. No, you need money. Like I need money to operate. I need money. You can't ask me to go someplace and not put gas in my car. Like I need. It's a tzarech of Malchus. That's all. So what I'm saying is, if it's a tzarech of Malchus, everything's ruchnius. What if it's bad? So that's where the Tanai comes in. I don't know if you can make a chiluk between Yashur. I did see that, I think it's the Abta Rebbe writes, that you can make a chiluk between davening for yourself and davening for others. So when you daven for yourself, there's the Tanai, and it might not be good. Davening for others, I'm not sure exactly how to work out the lumdus of this, but davening for others is all the way. Like it's all the way, because it's certainly not selfish. So it's certainly Malchus, so it'll only be good, and you can I presume that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will only do what's good, but you can daven, it's the idea of, going to tzaddik to daven. Let's go a little further. Od Shnia, here's a second point. Pirshu b'sefer HaZayar, v'hi chashuva ma'od. This is Mevorsh the Zayar. It's in Parshas Vayakhel. And that is another midah of Malchus, how we can incorporate Malchus into our lives. Yigle mimakom lamakom l'shem shemayim. This is pretty intense. Yigle mimakom lamakom l'shem shemayim. Uvazeh yeyasa merkava el hashchina hagoyla v'yidama atzmai. And he should imagine to himself, Harei ani golisi v'harei klei tashmishi imi. When I travel, what is saying? A person, the Zohar recommends that a person puts themselves in gullus. Let's not get too far with this. I want to say it should be your Shabbos sometime. I was like this is like such an interesting thing. Like the Vilna Gaon, and many tzadikim, the Vilna Gaon was famous for self-imposed exiles. He would disappear, literally disappear, and go into a gullus. Now, what did he do? Incognito. What did he do with these gullias? Avodas Hashem. Okay, what was the Avodas Hashem? So, apparently, it was a kiyum of the Zohar. That the Zohar says that that Malchus is yigala mimakom lamakom l'shem shemayim. And by doing this, l'shem shemayim. In other words, not like I like to travel. I'm going to Golos. I'm going to travel Europe. Because then you are, let me try my translation, you are commiserating with the Shechina. You should imagine to yourself, Harei ani golisi. At least when I go and I travel, Harei klei tashmishimi, I take my clothes, I take my suitcase, I take my towels and fill it. Ma yasek void gavoya. What about Hashem? Shegolsa Shechina v'cheila einoim hakadosh baruch hu Shechinta begalusa, and he takes nothing with him. Shachasru b'sibas hagolus, because of golus. This is a pretty wild, idea, but I just want to try to be makar elas echel over here. That. I'll just tell you something as an aside. Maybe there's an organization in America or a convention in America called the GA. You ever heard of it? General Assembly. So who goes to the GA? It's like maybe 5,000 people. Who goes to it's like, go to a convention for non-firm people. So who goes to the GA? Like every federation director, every JNF leader, all those guys, all the machers go to the GA. And they learn about the Jewish people. Nice, it's a good thing. So they go, they speeches and speeches and speeches. Usually the Prime Minister of Israel goes to the GA. So I used to have a Seder in Buffalo, I'm talking about now, about 38 years ago, 37 years ago, 35 years ago, I had a Seder with the head of the Jewish Federation of Greater Buffalo. So he came back from the GA, and I came to learn with him. He was like so excited. It wasn't from, but he was like so excited about the keynote speakers. Who was the keynote speaker? Reb David Gottlieb from Or Sameh was the keynote speaker. It was like a Pella. I don't think he was probably not. Forget about Beard and Pay. He was probably the only yarmulke. I would imagine like one of the only yarmulkes of the thousands of people. So he was so excited about his speech, like the Saturday night keynote address. So I said to him, "What did he speak about? What would you speak about? What do you speak about? Jewish people? What do you speak about?" So he said he spoke about Shechita begalusa, and people went crazy with this thing. They loved this speech on Shechita begalusa. So and he brought me a cassette tape, remember? And he made me listen to this drasha on Shechita begalusa, which was very eloquent and very beautiful. I have no recollection what he said. Unfortunately, I think I was going to call him and ask him to remind me what he said. I couldn't even find it online. But this was a speech that he gave on Shechita begalusa. So what's it's just like who would choose to speak about Shechita begalusa? And it was right on. It was right on. It was the correct choice. So he's a brilliant guy, and this is I don't know how old he is now. This was 35 years ago. And he gave this eloquent speech. So let's understand the following: that the Zohar says often, over and over again, that Shechina zu Malchus, Malchus zu Shechina. What's the pshat over here? The pshat is that, as I said at the beginning, the Malchus is not something like the other mitos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malchus is the yad, it's the goal. This is where you have to get to. The very reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world was for Malchus. There's no other. How he created the world, Chesed, Gvura, Tifaris, the different architectural features of the world. Okay, but what's the whole thing for? That all this should hit ground. There should be a different kind of a world. The world should be different because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world to create a place. Like even imagine, excuse my trite example, but even imagine that we would create for ourselves building a summer home on the beach in Ashkelon. So we're creating for ourselves a summer home, but we can't get into that summer home. They won't let us into it. They won't let us decorate it. They won't let us visit it. Whoever they is. So what's the point of the whole thing? This is not like I take all my finances and my decorators and my suppliers, everything, all to go to the summer home, but I can't get into the summer home. I can't be there for the summer. So what's the whole purpose of the creation of the world is for the Shekhinah to rest in the world and for it to be a different type of a world. This is a world of Kedusha, a world of peace, a world of Simcha. That's the whole purpose of the whole world. So if the Shekhinah is trying to touch down, Shekhinah means Shachen, it's trying to be Shochen b'Sochenu, and it can't. Why can't it? Because we're all making the wrong choices and thickening the cup and not letting the Shekhinah come into this world. We want it our way. So we become like Migdal Bavel in a sense, want it our way. Do it our way. So if we're doing it our way, so then the world, the creation is purposeless. And the Shekhinah is where? The Shekhinah is Begalusa. So when the Shekhinah is Begalusa, the Shekhinah is in Galus, it means to say that the Shekhinah is trying to enter, created the whole world to enter, and we're choosing wrong. So the concept of Shinta Begalusa is not about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's about us, really. It's about HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the sense that we're stopping. Shinta Begalusa means that the whole process of creation has been aborted or short-circuited or being blocked at earth level. And therefore there's no Malchus. So we're all davening for Mashiach on the one hand, but davening for Mashiach means that we're taking not us so much out of Golus, that's also true, I guess, but the Iker is that we're letting the Shekhinah come out of Golus and come into this world. So we can't separate these concepts of Shechinta Begalusa v'Anu Begalusa. So Anan Begalusa, as Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says, Anan Begalusa v'Shechinta Begalusa. That's his lashon over there. We're in Golus, the Shekhinah's in Golus. What he meant to say there is the reason why it's good that I'm hanging out in a cave for all these years, and 12 years in a cave with no food is the ultimate galus, and he's hiding from because the Shechinta Begalus. In other words, he related his situation. He became, as the Tomer Devorah says here, a merkava for the Shekhinah. So this is what it means. So I presume if I was speaking to the GA, the question is not so much like the survival of the Jewish people, but the survival of the Jewish people for what? Like why exactly is it important that we survive? I mean, people are like very concerned that if too many women wear mink skulls, that minks will become extinct. But like mamash lo akhpat li. So minks will be extinct. So there won't be any minks in the world. It's not going to change anybody's quality. Maybe somewhere in the ecosystem. Not something that anybody's going to something becomes extinct. It becomes extinct. So the Jewish people become extinct. They become extinct. So it's not going to hurt. It's not painful to become extinct. So why, your numbers get lower and lower, you assimilate, and you become extinct. So what's the problem? The problem is, Shechinta Begalus, who then, if the only reason why we have to worry about the survival of the Jewish people, this is the GA drasha, the only reason you have to worry about the survival of the Jewish people is because otherwise, how's the world ever going to come to its fruition, to its completion? How are we ever going to get to Malchus? So it's a whole different kavanah in worrying about our survival. There has to be a reason for that too. So otherwise, like you're in a plane and you're circling, and you're never landing. You never get to your yacht. Even if you're in business class, it's a pain in the neck. Like you want to land already. So the Shchinta Begalusa. So now let's take this to the next step. So what am I? I'm sorry.
Rabbi, it's fine to say that Malchus is the Iker of why we're living here. But if you fill this room with Tzadikim, holy rabbis, how many definitions of Malchus would you get? Malchus on this earth?
As many as there are people.
Yeah.
What I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but we did fill this room with tzaddikim.
In other words, is it a real goal, Malchus, or is it another fragmentation?
Let me say something. Malchus doesn't mean everybody's the same. Malchus means that everybody's different. Malchus means that every single person in the world has a different function to fulfill in the Malchus Hashem.
But you
like
wouldn't even find it. There were Jews who wouldn't even agree with that.
Okay.
That's your definition.
Yes. So, what does it help? So now we're saying that the Vilna Gaon went into Galus. Shchinta begalusa, the Vilna Gaon went into Galus. I want to. Do you know that there was a minhag? This is the Ramak, who Tomer Devorah brings in one of his svarim. He was a Talmud. Rav Moshe Cordevaro in Sfas was a Talmud of the Arizal and Rav Shlomo Alkabitz. That's the Makubal who wrote the L'Chadoidi, and the Alshich HaKadosh, and the Beis Yosef Karo. Yeah, like good Rabbeim. A good Rabbeim. So he writes that in one of his svarim that the minhag in Chodesh Elul was that the whole Chavraya Kadisha, as he calls them, and all his Rabbeim and the Talmidim, which he was one of the Talmidim, the star pupil, but one of the Talmidim. He started off, by the way, being the Rebbe of the Arizal. With the Ari, when the Ramak was nifter, so the Ari said a hesped on him. He said, Rebbe Umayr. We have the lashon of but he ended up being a Talmud of the Arizal. Arizal was unbelievable. Like at 30-something years, what he was able to be basic, just like an unbelievable thing. But anyway, so the Ravak writes that in Elul, the entire Chavraya Kadisha would not wear shoes, and they would go yachaf into the fields. We know these fields surrounding Tzfas. They would go out to the fields, and without shoes, they would go yechefim. Shir Hashirim says, "Mini raglech miyachef." Mini raglech miyachef. They want to be Mekayim, that pasuk. And he writes that this was their hanhaga of learning, and they had during Elul unbelievable giluyim in Torah. What's the what does it mean? Like they became a bunch of hippies. They walking around yachef. So I think the Hesber is this. I once explained it this way that you see that the first encounter that Moshe Rabbeinu had with HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the Snet, the burning bush, during the first encounter, the first words of the encounter, meaning the first words that Hashem said to Moshe, was Shal Na'alecha Me'ar Raglecha, take off your shoes. Hamakom asher ata omed alav admas kodesh. He was in Midian. I mean, maybe he was in Har Sinai, but he wasn't in Yerushalayim. It wasn't in the Malchus HaMikdash. Hamakom asher ata omed alav admas kodesh. Besides for the Pella, like, why is this like bothering HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Take off your shoes. You don't put on a yarmulke. Wear talis when you're talking to me. Vayaster Moshe Pana, that might be Seitachan. Shal Na'alecha Me'ar Raglecha. It's mashma, sort of, where do we find this idea of Shal Na'alecha? We find Avelus. Person can't wear shoes. Avelus during Shiva. Lahavdul Koyim. doesn't wear shoes. When he's Elul Duchen. What is the sugya of
Chalitza.
Chalutza now? What's this idea of removing shoes? The simple shot. I mean, there's so much Kabbalah in Nalayim and the Nal and Rabbi Yochanan Assembler and so many kavanas here. But I just want to say something very pashut, which I mentioned before, that when you're wearing shoes, so you are personally, the bottom of the feet are very sensitive, and you're very insulated from the entire environment around you. Meaning, like when you're wearing shoes in the desert, you don't feel the hot sand. That's why I wear them. You don't feel the stones. You don't feel you don't feel the little animals that could be biting at you. You're wearing shoes. You're insulated. Chomer, like the shoes that we wear. Like if you're wearing super Nike. Like that, you don't feel anything. You don't feel anything, which is good. Shoes are a good thing. Yimkar, the word says Yimkar the Kobashi Yeshli V'Yikna right Nalayim L'Ragla. You got to sell everything to have shoes. So imagine a person walking around, sold his shirt, sold his suit, sold his pants, but they got shoes. So that's the surah of that kabar. But when Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Sneh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, take off your shoes. This is not going to work, being insulated. I want you to feel the golus of Klal Yisrael and Mitzrayim. I want you to feel, you take off your shoes, every single thing, every little pebble, every little Lego, anything that, even you're walking on the carpet, everything, you feel everything, you know exactly what's going on when you're not wearing shoes. So you need to take off your shoes, meaning you need to be able to feel the pain. You need to be able to feel the tsar, you need to be able to be in touch with the earth. The earth, there's a gullus of the earth, kots v'dardar, thorns, stones. The earth is a hard place to walk. Klal Yisrael is in Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him take off his shoes. That was becoming a merkava for the Shekhinah, because now Hashem says to him, now you're feeling my pain. Now you're feeling my pain of not being able to touch ground. The Kolzman, the Klal Yisrael is Bitzar. So if Klal Yisrael is Bitzar, the world is not right. The world is not right. And if the world is not right, step one, before I tell you how to fix it, is Shal Nalecha Mi'al Raglecha. I was telling somebody that when I lived in Monsey, so I wanted to put I moved into a new house, I wanted to put a big little chorban. So they're painting the house, So I ran all the workers were in the house, the painters and the light guy and all the workers in the house were redoing the house. So I said to the painter, I said, leave a space here, 18 inches by 18 inches, don't paint it over here. Like it says a Shulchan Aruch. So the painter was an Italian, the electrician was everybody sitting and listening to me, like I'm a kabbalah, don't paint the square. So, like the painter's like, why the hell not? I just remembered a question. So I, it was like sometimes you all of a sudden become an ambassador for the whole history of the Jewish people. So here I was, so I said to him, because until there's peace in the world, I'm going to leave a piece of my wall unpainted. So the Italian painter said, I'm going to do that too. So the guy was installing the lights. When I came back a couple hours later, he gave me on his gratis as a gift. He put in a special spotlight in the ceiling, lighting up my unpainted wall. I really they were really into this, that's the GA, you understand? That's what's going on. The pshat is that Hashem was telling Moshe that if you're margish the tsar, then you can join me in fixing this world and be a merkava for the Shekhinah. If you're not margish the tsar, if you're in a plush office trying to be margish the tsar, then you're not margish the Shekhinah begalusa, and if you're not margish that the world is not yet perfect. The world is not that we can get used to world. We can get used to it. I mean, if we have our minimal requirements, we can get used to it. But what are we getting used to? I mean, people are getting their heads chopped off of all places in the world. I mean, you used to be able to think the world was like somewhat normal. There was a couple of crazy things. It's like absolutely not. I mean, absolutely not normal. The things that go on in the world. So the world, the Shekhinah is Begolus. But there's Inyan, and this is, I believe, what the thing is over here. I'm just wondering, just thinking about this. Okay, the Goyin went into Golus. I don't know if that's what he did. He went into Golus to be Margish the Tzara Shekhinah, and the Mekubalim went out into the fields barefoot to be Margish the Tzara Shekhinah. So it was like the mice of the Sneh. It was the mice of the Sneh in the mountains of Meron, learning exactly like the Giluyim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I'm just wondering, like practically, like is there such a thing as being Margish the Tsar? Like how do you do that? Like how are we Margish the Tsar of the Shekhinah to have the kind of Giluyim? I don't know how many of you were here, but on Friday night I mentioned, it was a Friday night, Shabbos morning, I mentioned that the Gabbai, the Heisler of the, excuse me for my repetition, but if you weren't here, that from Bnei Brak there's an old Jew by the name of Rabbi Heisler. So he was the Gabbai of Rav Shach for 30, 40 years. Even when Rav Shach was like a young 70, he was his Gabbai. And he was Mason Lave that for years and years and years, he finally figured out that Rav Shach won't eat between 8 and 9. First he thought maybe it was his digestive system. He'll never eat between 8 and 9 in the morning. And he refused it. If he came at 8:30, to wait till 9. If breakfast was late, maybe quick because I don't want to eat. So finally, it was a question of taking medicine and eating before the medicine. Well, why don't you eat? Why doesn't the Rosh Hashiva eat between 8 and 9? So he said, look, there used to be, a million children in Tel Aviv and Haifa, the Rav Shach. They used to go to school every morning, and it was like the minhag in Eretz Yisrael, even by the Chilonim, that they would say the pasuk Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and they would sing Hatikva. That's what they did. And I think it was Shvalat Alonim, who somebody decided that it's like the Pledge of Allegiance, that you have to get rid of this minhag. It should be a person's personal preference to say Shema Yisrael. They shouldn't be forced to say it in school, whatever. So all of a sudden, a million big kids are not saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So he says, I decided I want to be Margish that they all get to school between 8 and 9. So between 8 and 9, I'm not going to fast. And he fasted like this till the rest of his life. This is how he fasted for the rest of his life. Between 8 and 9, he wouldn't be. It's a small thing. How hard is it to fast between 8 and 9? But it's a regesh of being Margish, the Tsar. Can you imagine like the Tsar of here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Eretz Yisrael, and a million kids going to a Jewish school with a Jewish teacher. Finally, the Shekhinah is having a place to rest, Eretz Yisrael, right? Finally, like I saved some of these kids from the Holocaust or from Morocco or wherever I saved them, and finally the Shekhinah has a place to rest. This million kids saying Shema Yisrael, Shekhinah B'Galus, the world's not what it's supposed to be, because some person who thought that they're smart, undid this and knows what that did to the world. Who knows what that did to the world? But the Shekhinah moves a step over. So he took out something. He took out something. So here, what he's telling us over here is to be Shekhinah B'Galusa, to be a Merkava for the Shekhinah. I just one more line. V'yase la'atzmai gerushin. V'yiskarish mi beis menuchasei tamid kedarach hashahaya miskarish Reb Shimon v'chaver of oiskim b'Torah. Was it gerushin? Like an aguna. I think the Shekhinah is the feminine side of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So the like an aguna. Yeah. So how does an aguna feel? Let's feel that for a moment. Here's the thing we can do. How does an aguna feel? An aguna feels chained, alone, trapped, but also there's no sheiruk sus voin. Nobody's taking care of. Nobody's. Yesterday, a Grusha who was married to I'm not getting well, whose fault taught this. I'm just saying, it would see us a Grusha who was became estranged from her husband, and the way it worked, she lost her bituach lami, she lost her a lot of things that the people get, like she lost it. So she had a pretty well-to-do husband, So she asked me if I could figure out how to help her put together 100 shekel a month so that she could get. So I think like 100 shekel. I mean, I'm no rich person, but I mean 100 shekel. Like you go buy pizza, it's 100 shekel. I mean, what's 100 shekel a month? But she was struggling for this 100 shekel a month. It's like that's the matzav. This was a matzav of aguna. There's a matzav of grusha. Hopefully a temporary situation. So what we're talking about. So he says that Rav Shimon Bar Yochai v'chaveirav, they went into this kind of a golus, Iskin B'Torah. It wasn't just to hide from the Romans. They saw it as a tikkun for the world to become a merkava for the Shechina. This was their 8 to 9. So I think the lesson here is, I'm not sure the practical application of it, but I think the lesson is here, to feel like what has to feel the Messiah of Christ. Sometimes we get so trapped up doing something about it that we don't feel it. So you become like a macher, So then you go to the GA convention, and okay, what are we going to do for the Jewish people? That's a good. I'm not knocking it, but the question is, it's like the famous. I think it was what the Bali was. I think it was Rabbi Chasman. I think it was. They say that he was collecting money for a poor almana in his city. And it was freezing cold, and he went from door to door, and he came to a wealthy guy's house, and the wealthy sees the Rav is there, and okay, please come in, we'll talk, So I think it was Rabbi Chasman. He said it was the snow and the ice. He said to the rich guy, he says, I think this conversation will go better if you come out here. Like you need to feel a little bit, the snow, the ice, let me get my coat. No coat. No coat. Let me get my boots. No boots. Shal na'alecha me'arag lecha. It's like in order to give this kind of tzedakah, you got to be able to feel what the nitzrach is feeling l'chora. So just put yourself in that kind of a situation, and that becomes Malchus, because then once I feel it, then I'm doing something about it on a whole different madrega, and the goal of it is that that we can all make this Malchus. Okay.